Welcome, everyone. My name is Annette Anderson. I am on the Council for the Indigenous Institute of the Americas, and we are going to have the first in our Ask Uncle Gregory Zoom series, and we welcome everyone who's come. So we'll be muting everyone during the first 30 minutes as Uncle Gregory shares his thoughts on different topics. And then we'll unmute after the listening part of the event so that people can say hello and visit with friends and family. We appreciate you offering us the courtesy as we're going to video the listening portion of the talks, not the visiting portion. And we're going to post them to our YouTube channel at II Americas. So we hope that you'll allow us to have this clear audio. For those of you who don't know about us, we are the Indigenous Institute of the Americas. The organization was founded by three knowledgeable elders, Eddie Sandoval, Dr. Kathy Gutierrez Gomez, and Gregory Gomez. Although the founding members are predominantly Apache, we don't hold that against them. The vision of these three people started in the 1980s in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. When Uncle Gregory moved his family to New Mexico because of some of the prejudices and biases that his child Itzalichi faced, they took the nonprofit basically with them to New Mexico. And then we moved the headquarters back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2014, where our largest volunteer group resides. This is also where our North Texas American Indian Arts and Cultural event, Santa Fe Days, takes place. We have formally decided to postpone the event due to the coronavirus, and we hope that everybody understands. We'll be making a formal Facebook video making that announcement this week. So we hope that you enjoyed today's talk. We ask that you send us more Ask Uncle Gregory questions on the chat or through our email at iiamericas.org@gmail.com. The result of the first series is the question, what's an Indigenous perspective of the coronavirus and the pandemic? So I would like to first make a land acknowledgement, then I'm going to ask Uncle Gregory if he would provide a prayer to begin, and then everybody will be on mute except for him, and we will let him just share with us during the listening time.
Thank you.
Chokma, Osio. Ancestors, we're taking this time to acknowledge with deep appreciation and with a humble spirit that we stand on Mother Earth. We know that our Mother has cared for all the people who have walked on the path through the land where we are sitting during this meeting. We thank the 8, 6, and 4-legged people, the 2-winged people, the slider people, and the swimming people. Thank you to our Indigenous ancestors who lived where we are now seated at a time before we heard their tribal names in the wind. I want to acknowledge those people, the original people of your land. Please remember that they were the original land, air, and water protectors who died struggling to protect the land that we are now borrowing today. We remember you, honor you, and thank you. Aho. Now to Uncle Gregory.
Thank you, sister. It is an honor and a privilege to be here and share, and I'm looking forward to an ongoing dialogue or conversation with each of you and whoever else may become part of our group. And as names pop up, I may deviate and take time to say, hi, Devin. Welcome. That's one of my nephews. So I would like to add to Annette's prayer and ask each one of you to pray in your own way. Oh, takwiyas. Sisina tapana. Oh, Great Spirit, we thank you for life. Thank you for every step that you have given me upon Mother Earth, for every breath of life, for every beat of my heart, for every thought. I want to thank you for the hard times like those that we are dealing with right now. And I want to thank you for the good times, because life, to be full, to be complete, has to have one and the other. So again, I want to thank each one of you and pray for each one of you and all of your relations. Aho. What Annette and I talked about, and what she asked me to cover, or start with at least, is the coronavirus. But before I do that, I want to share some things. In my lifetime, growing up as I did, and I will talk about some of that as I go along. My grandparents, and I knew most of them, and my parents, and I knew most of them, and the older brothers and sisters helped me along the way. And the ones that are still living are still contributing to my welfare, to my knowledge of who we are as people. I do not have the right to criticize or condemn, but I do have a moral obligation to ask questions and make observations in a respectful way, in a manner that we are all equal. So I would like for you folks who are listening to really, really internalize that aspect of my life. I do not have the right to criticize or condemn, but I do have a moral obligation to make observations and ask questions. That's part of what my life has been and is and will be as long as I am breathing and being here. The other thing that I want to share with you folks, and those of you that have known me, especially if you've known me for a long time, one of the commonalities in this country, particularly Oklahoma, particularly the Kiowa people, is when we are speaking, when we say something that's kind of funny, when we kind of pick on each other in a good way, in a fun way, in a loving way, we say, hey. So every now and then it's very possible that you will hear me saying, hey. And it's not that I'm picking on anyone or making fun of anyone. I'm just sharing of our traditions and culture in today's society. Hi, Raven. Hi, Tasawi. So this is wonderful, and that, you know, it's taken so many years to be able to get this technology to do what we're doing. And as I have written by email and on Facebook, I want to thank personally each and every one of you who has dedicated of your time, your energy, your resources, your creativity to our dream of what the Indigenous Institute of the Americas is all about. And I'm looking forward to, when I finish blah, 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 hey, so that whoever has questions or comments, we can dialogue a little. I will do my best, because life for me right now is, like for all of us, tough in some ways, physically especially. And so my energy level may run out before we get too much done in the Ask Uncle Gregory section. So, in our traditions and culture, the way I was raised, the way I believe, as I have walked, worked, spent time from Alaska down to the Amazon, a lot of our people have many, many similarities. And one of them is that all the parents and grandparents, all the brothers and sisters of grandparents and parents are also parents and grandparents. So traditionally, we do not have aunts and uncles. We have dads and moms, and we don't have cousins. We have brothers and sisters. So that is why a lot of you, like Evelio, is my nephew Indian way, and I call him nephew, and he calls me uncle. But actually, I could call him son, and he could call me dad, as long as he doesn't ask for money. So that's another thing that's very important and critical to us in our traditions and culture. And those of you whom I have known for some time over the years, who read my Facebook or my emails or in person, I use the terms DNA and Indian way for my relatives. And that doesn't mean that one group is more important than the other. Just making the distinction of DNA and Indian way, because everybody who's my relative is very, very important to me and to us as a family and to us as Indigenous people. I do not use the term Native American. That's come up on the Ask Uncle Gregory for a variety of reasons. Sociologically, anybody born anywhere in the Americas is a Native American, but not everybody born in the Americas is Indigenous, and that's okay. So that's one of the reasons that I do not use the term Native American. Another one is when the late President Reagan came into political power at the president's level, he or somebody in his group decided to do away with the term American Indian and start using the term Native American to mainstream us and make us more like the Eurocentric people in this country and the Americas. And again, I'm not being disrespectful. I am just trying to let people know why I do not use the term Native American. Those of you that are old enough to remember terminology in this country, the American Indian were the only ones that had that title of American first and Indian second. Everybody else had the title of African American, Asian American, Mexican American, etc. So our people were the only ones that had the distinction, the honor, and the privilege of being referred to as American first. So that's why I still use American Indian, or of course Apache. And I would like for those of you to think about and make up your other and own mind. And the other that I was referring to, or I'm going to refer to, has to do with when you apply for something, and if it's not applicable, it is titled NA. I'm not Native American, and I am very applicable in my own country. So that's another reason why I do not use that term Native American, because when you fill out applications and it's not applicable, it means NA. So now on to the topic that Annette asked me about, the coronavirus. And I sent something out, and I don't know who read it. I know Annette did, and she was giggling as she does about what I had to say. But you know, some years back when when Mexico started importing Corona beer to this country, people in this country, probably the beer business people, started saying, no, don't drink it. The workers pee in there, and that's why it's yellow, and blah, blah, blah. You know, the racism of business people is amazing and incredible. And it is such a, to me, it is such a way of putting us down, putting each other down as people, as brothers and sisters. So I don't drink beer. I've never really been a beer drinker. I haven't had any alcoholic beverage since I committed Sundance in 1980. And but coronavirus and Corona beer have some commonalities when it comes to some of the people in this country and the way they treat each other, the way they try and live around each other, and the way we put each other down sometimes in some ways. So the coronavirus, to me, for me, is something else that has come that we did not create, that great spirit or the great mystery, God, whatever you want to call the great spirit, has not put on this earth. It's something that we have brought about. And when we as Native people think of what happened starting in 1492, and again, I am not being disrespectful or picking on anybody, I'm just doing some factual commentary or observations. We had things like smallpox, BD, polio, TB, on and on and on. Things that were brought or developed because people, the two-legged people, the two-legged humans were not taking care of themselves and not taking care of Mother Earth. It is well known historically, scientifically, that 1492 and before, we could drink water from anywhere, any creek, any lake, any stream. Can't do that anymore. And I'm talking about this country, but I'm actually talking about that around the world, because we, the two-legged human, and especially in our quest for power and money through greed, have developed things that made our life easier, like tin cans. Last night, after Annette, Kathy, and I spoke for a while, that I went to bed, and as I was doing ceremony and asking for guidance for today, because I know nothing, I'm ignorant, I won't say I'm a dummy, but anyway, the reality is that I asked Life Giver, I asked Creator, I asked the Sacred Great Spirit, the Great Mystery, to take pity on me, to guide and direct me, to give me the words that you out there are supposed to hear coming through me, not my words, but our words, our thoughts, our prayers. And I was thinking specifically about the coronavirus and how it has affected creation. In our traditions, in our culture, we say if life is there, then spirit is there. And if life and spirit are there, then they are human. They referring to the greenery, to the four-legged, the winged, the fin, the little people, etc. So our grandparents, my grandparents used to say, we the two-legged people sometimes are the worst of the human beings because we are the ones that set out to conquer and destroy and control. And we do not have the right to do that. That's why in our traditions and our culture, when we say we pray and try and protect Mother Earth, it's because everything on Mother Earth that has life and has spirit is human. The folks that came here, and I say this respectfully, through religion and in some ways education, have changed a lot of that. And again, I said respectfully, because I don't have the right to criticize or condemn, but I do have a moral obligation to ask questions and make observations. So we were not given dominion over creation, as some people believe and practice. So a virus has come again that is killing a lot of people. And a lot of the people that are dying and will die are people that unfortunately are self-centered, are egotistical, and while they have their own belief system, possibly in religion, organized religion, and maybe spirituality, but the believing and the practicing is different. In the time that this virus came, how many people have gathered and continue to gather because we have become so self-centered and we're into the me, rather than we or us. And we're spoiled. We're spoiled. No, I want to go to the restaurant. No, I want to go to the bar. No, I want to go to the lake. No, I want to go to the beach. No, I want to go to the football game. On and on and on. So we're spoiled. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I am saying that if we don't learn to be thankful, and part of giving thanks is respecting me, you, us, and all creation. And if we don't do that, more of our people internationally will die. I do not know, I have not heard, and when we start our 30 minutes, if any of you have heard, I wonder if this virus has contaminated some of our brothers and sisters, and if they also are dying or suffering from this particular virus. Because I know that some of our brothers and sisters have suffered and are suffering from the lack of care, the lack of love, the lack of respect, the lack of consideration toward all creation, for each individual within creation. And it's difficult. I haven't been away from the house out into town since mid-March, except 3 times. And that was for medical attention, blood work, etc. I don't know any of the rest of you, and I'm not going to pick on any of you. I'm not going to criticize and condemn, because I'm not Great Spirit, I'm not Great Mystery, I'm not Creator, etc. But as I said, I do have a moral obligation to make observations and ask questions. And that's part of the way that I was raised. That's part of the way I believe. That's part of the way I try and live. So the virus today is something that we are all capable of doing away with if we do our part to wear a mask, if we do our part to social distance, if we do our part to stay away from places that we normally used to, and at some point in time in the future plan on going to, restaurants, movies, bowling alley, baseball games, whatever it is that we used to do that we enjoyed participating and or playing will be given to us, but until we do our part to clean and purify me, myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, it will not change. And I say again, until I start doing my part with respect to clean and purify myself and each one of my brothers and sisters in creation, it won't change. Which is hard to think of what can happen. When my mom, who died of cancer when Ozzy, our daughter, was a baby, and we were in the hospital and she was feeling down, which is understandable. So I put my arm around her, kind of leaned against her, and I said, "Mom, I'm really sorry that this is happening to us, not to you, but to us. She's my mother. She brought me forth into the world. She cared for me up till when she died." So I said to her, I said, "Mom, you know, baby Gregory died. He was born before Chico was born. Would you wish that he was still alive?" And she shook her head, yes. I said, "Well, how about Grandma and Grandpa, your mom and dad?" "Of course." "And how about Dad, my dad?" "Well, of course." "Well, Mom, if all of those people that we loved so much, that were part of our life, were still alive, where would we put them? And she went, you. And so we were able to chuckle and laugh and be thankful for all that we have been given. As I said at the beginning, for every beat of my heart, for every breath, for every step on Mother Earth, I ask people, how many of us take the time to thank Mother Earth for every step that we take on her? Because she bears her weight individually and collectively. She bears the weight of all of the structures that we have built on her. She bears the burden of our lifestyle and choice of lifestyle. And again, I'm not criticizing or condemning. All I'm saying is, when am I going to start thinking and being thankful for everything that I am given every day of my life? Some of you out there know I'm a combat veteran, a Vietnam Marine Apache veteran. Some of you know that, like others of my brothers, I came close to losing my life. I knew before I left that I was going to come home. I knew that there was nothing and nobody over there that was going to kill me. I did not know in what kind of shape I would come back. But the important thing for me about this is that I am still here, I'm still blessed, and I'm still able to, in a small way, share with each one of you parts of my life that, at least to me and for me, my DNA and Indian Way family is very important. One of the things that I get from DNA and Indian Way family, by phone call, by messenger, by email, and through prayer, is that I still have something to share. I still have something to do. Uncle, grandpa, brother, we don't want you to die. You still have things that we need to learn. But I cannot teach, I cannot share if people are not willing or committed to listening, to interacting and learning. And more importantly than that is sharing, because what you share with me is precious and very, very personal and very, very easy for me to share that on with other people. When I was 4 or 5, and my grandpa says to me, "Grandson, only you can kill me." And I started crying. I'm a little guy. I started crying and said, "Grandpa, you're my grandpa. I don't want to kill you." And he said, "If you don't share of my life, I will die." So each one of you whom I know, in whatever manner we know each other, is very precious to me. I learn from you. I want to walk with you. I want to learn from you so that I can share with other people because in our way, as Indigenous people, we are here for a reason. We are here for a time. We are here for a purpose that goes beyond me. It goes beyond Gregory. It touches on each and every aspect of creation. If there's life and there's spirit, there's humanity. So I'm not asking any one of you to go out and start hugging trees. But on the other hand, that might not be a bad thing to do. To go, take your hands, which are precious, put your gifts, and touch a tree. Thank it. Say thank you for being here. Thank you, Great Spirit, for having this brother or sister here to contribute shade, to contribute water, to contribute beauty, because our brothers and sisters reflect who I am and who you are, who we are in that sacred hope, the four directions. So again, I want to thank Annette as my sister, my friend from way, way back when, and any of the rest of you whom I know and have known or will know as time goes by in helping me become a better human being, a better two-legged by your questions, your laughter, your prayers, and yes, picking on me. uh, and that I'm not keeping track of time, so I don't know when the quote half hour will be over.
Well, actually, we hit the half hour, but you're doing great. If there's more you'd like to share, I'm sure we'd be willing to listen.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask, you know, with all these illnesses that have been going on and obviously a lot of grieving and deaths, I was wondering, you know, what is something, a type of maybe, I know it's probably, you know, hard via Zoom, but a simple type of acknowledgement or ceremony of some sort that we can do. I mean, we have our ceremonies, but our ceremonies usually all night or, you know, hours, but something that we can do to acknowledge and remember. Okay.
Before I started, I did ceremony for myself and for anybody and everybody that would become part of this ceremony, because I consider what we're doing a ceremony. You guys have heard me say in the time that we've been around each other, you know, prayer is critical, but prayer without faith does not work. And when I shared with everybody about Sundance for you guys, the quality of who you are, who you have chosen to be, who you fight to be, you know, and we can't take that away. So all we can do is share. So again, going back to your question, it is what it is, but that doesn't mean that it can't be otherwise, and that we do not have a right and the power, the Great Spirit, to bring about some changes. But all we can do is offer. All we can do is offer. It's up to, as I said, John Doe and Susie Q to accept and come and join us on the Good Red Road. And, you know, I I don't know how else to say it. And that's one of the reasons why, as I observed you guys, as I have mixed and mingled, as I have stayed in your home, you're my family. And to me, there's nothing more precious or sacred than having family. And in our case, it's not DNA family, it's a choice that we have made. And that for me is even more important because DNA family is DNA family, good, bad, or indifferent. But Indian way family like you guys is totally, totally different. And for me, it's just incredibly energizing. So, gracias, gracias, gracias. Y sigamos con los tamales.
Gracias. Thank you, Uncle Gregory.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone have a question, another question? You notice how Greg finds his way around the question. That's part of the Ask Uncle Gregory way. Oh my goodness. He was one of the 2020 graduates who didn't get to go to ceremony. And
No.
yeah, so he's wondering, first of all, what does it feel like to be in the situation you're in?
Graduated, you mean?
Well, just graduating under the circumstances that we're in.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of weird. It doesn't feel like it's happened. So it kind of just feels like, to be honest, it kind of feels like high school was a waste. Like, because the whole point, another reason why like high school is so great is because the whole graduation experience. And without that, it kind of felt like I didn't do high school. Like, I literally will be like, just sitting and I'm like, well, I graduated, but it doesn't feel like that even happened because it went so quick and there really was like nothing. So yeah.
That and anybody else who's listening. Annette, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I've just decided something that was brought to my attention. I think when we have our next gathering, we should have a graduation ceremony for all of our young people.
That's a really good idea because normally we would have ceremony of some sort.
Sure. You know, I think part of our being here with and for our people onto the seventh generation is to celebrate life. So since I'm over here and you guys are over there, if you would find out who the graduates were or are going to be, I think we should do a celebration.
Yes, because we have a lot of college graduates too that are in the same boat. Yeah, so that would be wonderful.
But one of the things that I would like us to think about, and I know it's difficult, you know, I was listening and thinking of my high school graduation back in early June of '65, and I think there were like 600 and some of us. And the best part of graduation was that we were one of 5 high schools in Southern California that was invited to go to Disneyland for the night. And that, you know, that to me, the first time I ever went to Disneyland, and it was wonderful. But one of the things that I would like to take us back to when I was talking about our elders, my grandparents, my parents, you know, my dad's dad was born in 1878. July of 1915, the youngest of my dad's uncles, Rodolfo Muñiz, was hung by the Texas Rangers. So that's part of my life history. So when I say celebrate, we do not have to wait for a cap and gown. We do not have to wait till somebody out there says, oh, you've graduated. Oh, you've achieved and accomplished. No. Gregory, as a parent, as a grandparent, as an uncle, being blessed with life, can say to any and everyone around me, congratulations. The fact that you woke up today, we need to celebrate. I understand the legitimacy that the system puts on high school graduation and Head Start graduation and junior high graduation, middle school graduation, on and on. And that's part of life that we should celebrate. But we should not wait for a system to acknowledge our achievements and accomplishments. Individually, as family, we should be doing that. So I love you guys. I pray for you. And my first prayers in the morning when I wake up, as I stretch, is for my family. DNA in Indian way. So I'm not going to wait to celebrate your graduation, because as far as I'm concerned, when the seed was planted and you started coming forth your journey, I have been celebrating directly, physically, or indirectly, spiritually. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Gregory. I hope Cipriana felt that.
Yeah, thank you. It meant a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Uncle Gregory. This is special. We love you.
Well, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it, and I'm glad that Gregory tackled the technology involved. He did a great job. Yay, Uncle Gregory.
Cassie.
Oh, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. Another clap for Kathy.
Cassie did a great job.
Well, thank you again, everyone. Really appreciate this first time out, and I will get the video edited quickly with the new computer that my husband got me for this whole pandemic to make life quicker and easier, and it has worked. So I should be able to get it up by tomorrow for you all to share with everybody. And so I'll send out a link, and then feel free to pass it on. Okay?